All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Come
Hey there.
Hey,
in.
fantastic. Hey,
Yes.
Patrice.
Hey, Kareem. Hey, Siobhan.
Hey,
Hey,
y'all.
Siobhan.
Hi.
Hey.
So excited, y'all. We
Me
just
too. I'm looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this all week.
it's gonna be
Wow.
great
Wow.
conversation. Great
Okay.
conversation. So we're just gonna share it now so that we can let
I'm,
others
I'm,
know that we are here.
I'm curious, Patrice, why you've been thinking about this all week. That feels like some bashing on your mind.
Uh-oh.
Not at all.
Okay.
No. I mean, we're friends. Siobhan is my friend. The last
Uh-huh.
one was so much fun. So I'm just, and this is a
Okay.
good topic.
It's a very good topic.
Okay.
I'm just sharing on my Facebook page.
Okay, so we're just gonna give it a few minutes for people to get in here and join us. I'm
All
so
right.
excited. Oh, it's gonna be good, y'all. Y'all don't understand how good this conversation is gonna be.
Oh my goodness. It almost feels like it's two versus one, but I got this for you.
Oh, no,
Listen,
no.
I'm just a facilitator. I'm facilitating the discussion tonight. I'm not gonna,
Our
I put a little
discussions
bit of in, but I'm not gonna put in too much.
I mean, our discussions are never, it's always a respectful and meaningful discussion. I think every time we walk away from our discussions, Kareem, we are both filled with additional wisdom based on the other, the opposite sex perspective. Wouldn't you say that?
First of all, I like how you put that, but yes.
Y'all already know. See, it's
I
already
agree. I
right.
agree.
All
I
right.
agree.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
agree.
Okay.
Obviously, this platform we're going to be a lot more filtered, right, Patrice? I mean,
No, I mean, not really. You think no? I mean, we monitor some of the language we may use, but I think we need to be authentic.
well,
So
just understand that I plan on holding the fellas down to some degree.
And I'm
Uh,
a whole look. Oh, wait, come on. We could see people's comments on your
but
platform.
but
yeah,
I will hold them accountable, hold us accountable.
Okay,
But
that's your intent. So we're setting our intentions. Your
yes,
intent is to give the male perspective. I'll give the female perspective, and we know that we think differently. So there are some differences, but it's always good to get the insight of how a man thinks, and I think it's beneficial for you all to get our insight.
I
absolutely,
agree.
Yep.
absolutely. All right, so since y'all going and talking already, let's just go ahead and get it.
Oh, I was gonna give you a toast.
Cheers. I'm drinking water, so cheers.
I'm not,
And I
but
got my name on my glass. Ain't that
I
cute?
don't have a name on my glass, but it's
I
like,
think
look,
a bottle of water. Look.
I guess I took the
I was a
healthy
little
approach tonight.
all
I needed it.
Yes,
Let's focus. Let's focus.
all right.
Okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
welcome everybody to Relationship Talks with Siobhan Carter. I am excited about tonight's conversation. So, I am your host. And if you don't know who I am the founder of Walking in Wholeness. I call myself the You Relationship Coach, which means I am passionate about all things relationships, especially the relationship that you have with yourself. I am also the author and founder of Purpose Publishing Company, which I help first time authors get their stories out so their voices can be heard. And tonight I have the pleasure of being joined by two special guests. No, they are not together. So let's just put that out there. They are
For
two
Kareem's sake.
special guests who happen to know each other. Mr. Kareem and Miss Patrice, please introduce yourselves and tell the people a little bit about you.
Ladies first.
Okay. So first of all, Siobhan, thank you for inviting me a second time on your show. The last time was so much fun, so phenomenal. Thank you for bringing me. I talk a lot anyway, but being on this platform was just a different level. So my name is Patrice. I do have an Instagram page called I Am the Patrice. And the purpose of that platform is to just provide dating encouragement, relationship encouragement, just encouragement in general, as for those, to encourage people to embrace and enjoy the journey and trust the process. So I'm happy to be here, and I would like my friend, my good friend, and just to give you all just a little background, Kareem and I met through one of my cousins. Kareem and I have been knowing each other for several years. We, over the last few years, have formed a bond where we really talk about a lot of relationship stuff. And sometimes we're passionate about it, but we respect each other's opinion, and it's always fun and entertaining. So I am so glad Siobhan allowed him to come on and invite him. And if we're going back and forth, it's not because we're mad or we're fussing at each other. It's just, that's how we talk. And we both from New Orleans, we New Orleans natives. So everything we talk about, we passionate and we add a little flavor. So Kareem, please introduce yourself, because I'm excited that you're here with me tonight.
Well, I appreciate the pre-introduction. You said it all, right? So my name's Kareem. Let me start off by saying this. Anytime I get to say anything to anybody, I have to mention my three beautiful daughters, because if anybody know me, they know that I'm wrapped up into them. They mean everything to me. So girl, dad for sure. Outside of that, I do a little bit of investing. I am an author as well. Shameless plug. Got to be right here. Right. And I'm a positive person, right? And so the journey of my life, it led me to just start thinking differently. And when I came across some materials, some different perspectives, it really changed my life. So I've been an advocate of this way of thinking, if you will. And it's led me to do things like mentorship. Shout out to Lil Joseph, Terry, William. They all in the third ward. Hope you guys watching, at least your parents, because y'all got school tomorrow. But listen, my whole mentality right now is change your energy, change your life. And that's from any perspective, whether it be financial, relationship based, what have you. And so, I just released a book. Patrice and Siobhan hit me up. We started a conversation. They say, hey, it would be a good idea to join the show. And so I intend to share my perspective. I'm definitely going to represent for the guys. Woo, 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 woo. If anybody out there watching, but I'm going to hold us accountable as well. The goal for me, and I think Patrice, and we talked about this often, is that the more we communicate, the more we can come up with solutions to solve some of these problems that we face. Mm-hmm. Look at this. I already have enemies.
Enemies is all one of my family members.
I know.
Kareem, oh, you like
a great conversation. This is going to be a fun, energetic, good time, conversation. So let's get into it. So we're talking about unrealistic expectations in relationships. And like Kareem said, we talked offline about this, and we really had a good dialogue. So we wanted to bring it to Facebook Live. But as I was thinking about this, I see this all the time. I see people talking about the unrealistic expectations, honestly, that women have of men. So we're going to talk about both perspectives tonight. But I know for me personally, I remember when I did have some unrealistic expectations, just thinking that the man was going to be perfect, that he was going to meet all of my needs. I didn't have to do anything, and so it was just one of those things where I just felt that he had to do all the things. I didn't have to do any work. I just had to sit pretty and let him come and save me, and be that knight in shining armor. And I had a rude awakening, when I got into it. So that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about, and so much more. But just to set the foundation, what does it mean to have unrealistic expectations? So how would you answer that question?
So I'll lead off. So just a pure definition that I thought about, because I was thinking about this, of course, leading up to this, is that in general, it's expecting someone else to do what we desire, but it's something that person is either not capable of doing or not willing to do. So I think that was a general synopsis of our expectation or unrealistic expectation of that, I have or others may put on someone else.
So you said that they are unwilling to do or incapable of doing.
Yes.
Got it. Right. Mm-hmm. Kareem, what about
you? First of all, who is they, Patrice?
Well, in my instance, since we're talking about relationships, it would be, I date men. So,
okay, yeah. So not the human perspective. We're doing the men thing, right? Got it. Okay, I was just checking.
I mean, but you know that translates into to any relationship, really, friendships, relationships with parents, your family members. But so that definition of
it's too late, Patrice. Patrice, it's too late. It's too late. It's too late. It's not. It's too late. Listen, yeah. So for me, if I had to pinpoint, one thing from a relationship standpoint, for me, unrealistic expectations are typically unspoken expectations. And if you don't know, unspoken expectations are almost guaranteed to go unfulfilled. And again, that's why we're here to talk about, changing the way that you communicate or thinking about it differently. Typically, unrealistic expectations just really appear when you don't communicate it.
Agreed.
I love that. I love that. And if you're watching this, we would love for you to interact with us. So as I'm asking questions, feel free to put your comments in the chat. Or if you have questions for my guest tonight, feel free to put that in the chat as well, because we want to hear from you. So we're talking about realistic expectations, right? Okay. So what does it look like? So you've kind of talked about it a little bit, but what does it look like for you personally? What did unrealistic, when did you have them, whether it was you or your partner? What did it look like and how did it impact your relationship?
So I'll start off with that. So Kareem, by the way, I love the description you gave, because that's typically the root of a lot of unrealistic expectations, not talking about it or not communicating and making assumptions. So I would say, starting off, when I was young and I was married, I had this idea of what my husband should do, how he should function, or even if there was some things that I saw he wasn't doing, I assumed it would just change over time, or I can coerce him or encourage him to change. But the fact of the matter is, in some of the dialogues that we did have, even though I may not have asked specific questions, he kind of told me who he was and how he was, and I, over time, I was trying to change him and trying to put these expectations on him that he just wasn't interested in. And it caused a lot of confusion and a lot of friction. And I had to really do some self-evaluation to realize this is not who this man is. Like this is not, he never had the desire to do some of these things, and not bashing him. It's just, it wasn't something he was interested in doing. Whatever it is, I wanted him to change. At that point in time in his life, that wasn't him, and that's not what he wanted to do. So as I've evolved and I've grown and I've matured, I had to really start listening and asking the appropriate questions to see what this person is about, what they like, what they don't like. Is it a fit for me? Is it something that I would be okay with? What am I okay with and what I'm not okay with? So that's really when I learned that I was putting unrealistic expectations, and really the root cause of it was a lack of communication and understanding.
And before you go, Kareem, I wanted to share something that you just said, because how often do we, I know for women, I know we do this, and Kareem talk to see if men do this, but for us women, how often do we come up with this image, this, this idea of who a man should be, and we hold on to that image and
that's all the time. Yeah. Patrice thinking about it right now.
Right. Yeah. And it's not fair to the man. It's not fair. Yeah. But we have, I think it's just a lack of understanding, a lack of knowledge. We see these visuals on TV, and what you see on TV, you don't realize in the real world, there's some backstory or some other stuff that we just don't see. So we see the visual, but we don't really see reality.
Right. So what about you, Kareem? What personal experiences do you have with this?
Yeah, so look, I'm gonna go this route. My life partner and I had a phenomenal relationship. We opened the doors to different things in our lives, but as time went on, I realized that I wasn't verbal with my own change, right? What I like, what I don't like, what I want to do, what I don't want to do. I became still in communication. Right. And I realized that became an expectation of hers. She thought that, okay, maybe there's something wrong. I'm thinking something wrong, but I'm not going to ask because I know something's wrong, right? But as men, we often fight with ego. It's just something that it doesn't matter the age. Once we have it, it's there. I was talking to Patrice, and we was just using the cigarette. Ego is like nicotine. We just can't get rid of it, right? And sometimes we express it or use it not knowingly, right? And so that really led to some complications. And I was so far into it, thinking that I was doing all the right things. At the same time, I was doing all the wrong things because I wasn't verbalizing my issue. I was just assuming or wanting that person to know because of love and emotion to know what I'm going through. And I'm not going to say it led to any detriment or anything like that. My life partner and I have a fantastic relationship now. It's just it led to us just thinking about individuality. And that's where we are now. And so, just lack of communication as a man. It was a lot of pride in there. And I wasn't trying to express the pride, but I probably needed to. But the ego wouldn't let me express the pride.
Got you. So what you're saying is it was unrealistic expectations on your part for her to understand,
Yes.
what you're saying without you communicating it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So,
yeah. Wait, and look, let me add something to that too. Like an example is another thing too, right? I'm not the most traditional guy when it comes to relationship. I guess I would say old school for the lack of a better term. But man, I personally think that it's tougher to be a mother than a father. Seriously, I really believe that now that I've gone through it, right? So the whole, whether it's I go to work and I come home, I take care of the bills, and she's cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids and stuff like that. That job actually may be harder than my day job, right? And so this whole male ego thing was forcing me to kind of think otherwise, right? Like, so hey, all you did was just you cooked, you cleaned, you fold the clothes and stuff like that. And if it wasn't done, maybe it played some tricks on my mind. Maybe it was telling me something. Maybe it made me unhappy, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking that, okay, well, you can flip a light switch, the lights on. You can cut on the faucet, water is pouring. But I had to start thinking about that stuff differently, man. And if I got any men out there, I really want you to look at shifting your paradigm as it relates to the mother and father. Kids are just naturally attracted to their mom, right? They expect their mom to give them something that us fathers really don't have. And I don't really know what that is, but I have kids and I'm just telling you from my own experience. So, if you're that guy that's out there and you going to work and, you come home and you're expecting dinner to be made and the clothes to be folded and slippers right here and the game on and all that stuff, I think you need to rethink that.
Wow. I love that. And so Murray Jr. McKeithen asked for an example. So earlier you mentioned, Patrice, that there was some things that you were expecting of your mate at the time and that he wasn't able to do. So they were just asking for examples. Like what did you mean?
Oh, I want to hear the example too. Probably nothing. Look, probably nothing, fellas. Well, here we go. The floor is yours, Patrice. Probably nothing. Let's go. See?
All right,
any Willie Forte music out there? Here we go.
Wait, let me give a broad example.
So,
like, Lord.
You can't use the trash. We already been through this. Let's go.
Well, I mean, all right. Let me say, let me give an example of in my dating life. I hope that suffices for Murray because
that's fine. He'll be all right.
I don't want to drag up old stuff.
I think I won this round, Siobhan. We really can move on. I won, fellas. We won this round.
Let me. All right. So like in for instance in my dating, like if I've met a guy before, I like to go out, I like to do restaurants, I like to try different things, and the guy that's not what he's into, but I find him to be nice. So it's not easy always to come across guys that you could talk to and have good energy. But he don't want to do the same things that I want to do. So now I'm frustrated. But I chose to continue trying to pursue something with him. So now I'm frustrated, and in a way, and I'm like, hey, do you want to try this? Do you want to try that? Do you want to try this? And he keep telling me no, but the brother told me at the beginning that that wasn't what he was into. Mm-hmm. So that is an example of, and some of those things did happen in my marriage. Those things did happen in my marriage. I don't want to elaborate exactly on some things that happened. It's a tad bit kind of personal. And I don't want him to be upset that I shared it. But it was things similar to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and I want the people to know this is not a contest. It's not a
so that's why I told everybody, don't mind me and Kareem. This is not a contest for that. No,
we're not going against each other. So
no, we're not. and if somebody said that they did win this round.
Right.
There we go. We won.
Whatever.
Oh my goodness.
I think we are, fellas. 3-2.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about, so we hear a lot of times that it's the women that have unrealistic expectation. Do men really have unrealistic expectations? I know, Kareem, you mentioned it about what you expected from your life partner at the time, coming home and doing all these kind of things. But is that like the only thing? Is it more so on the woman's side? What would you say?
Well, let me clarify. It wasn't an expectation of mine. It was a observation, I guess I can say. Her and I were very non-traditional in a lot of senses. So no, it wasn't one. It was just me recognizing. It's just what she did. She's a phenomenal woman, right? So that's the stuff that she did. So do men have unrealistic expectations? So I'm going to say yes. However, no, meaning that we have high standards, but maybe low expectations.
Okay. What does that mean?
Okay. Listen, yeah, man. That's a box right there. I'm gonna get us out of this one, fellas. Yeah. Okay. Here's an example, right? You go to a restaurant, right? Or you want to go to a restaurant. There's your 5-star restaurant, and then there's your Applebee's. The standards is you go to a 5-star restaurant, you go to Applebee's, you're going to be greeted by a hostess, right? You're going to be sit down, you're going to have eating ware, a glass of water, and things like that, right? That's standard, right? However, when you go to the 5-star restaurant, you expect somebody to come up and say, hey, not only I'm going to take care of you, but Patrice and Siobhan is going to pass through as well, right? They may flop the napkin on your lap. They may tell you the menu. They may do all this wonderful things, right? But at Applebee's, it's just the fork set, it's just the water, and you may be looking around for your waiter or waitress, right? Men don't care with waiting at Applebee's. It really doesn't bother men. Men have a level of patience that women don't understand. Because men are not as good as communicating things as women are. Women love to talk. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just sharing, right? Women communicate often. They verbalize probably more than men. Men really, let me tell you something. And again, this is my perspective. Men may feel different, but man, if you make a man just feel good, encourage him and all that stuff, you got this. God, that might be 90% of it. I'm serious. I think a man wants someone who's they're attracted to. You see all the jokes with the memes and all that when it's text time and all that type of stuff, right? But yeah, so I know, men have attractions and stuff like that. Oh man, she's bad and stuff like that. Yeah, ooh, stuff like that. But I tell you that a man will quickly balance that for a woman who would hold him down, or a woman who will allow him to, be the man in the relationship, right? Allow him to have just a little bit of ego, right? Even over egoize some situations in the relationship. Men are very simple, and women have yet to figure that out.
So, Patrice, what are your thoughts?
So let me track this, Kareem. You said men have high standards, low expectations.
The other way around.
So wait, high.
Okay, low is not the best word. Let me retract.
What?
Not as high as expectations as women.
Okay. So what about women? I'm just curious.
That's easy. Women, Morris Chestnut, Denzel Washington. No. Executive at the job. You go run a Fortune 500 company. You come home. You have a Birkin bag. Oh, baby, make sure the chicken is thawed out. I'm gonna cook that too. I'm gonna take care of the clothes in the dryer. I'm gonna do the homework. Come on now. I mean, that's a reality. That's what, at least that's what men think.
Okay.
Because that's what they hear. That's what they see.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Well, so you feel men have Siobhan, what was the question?
The question was, do both men and women have unrealistic expectation, or is it more expectations, or is it more on the women who have unrealistic expectations?
So I will say that I would, in my opinion, and because I am a woman, I feel that women most likely have unrealistic expectations.
Well, I mean, oh my God!
I'm going to say that. I don't think that's a hit on the women. I mean, because and I will even venture to say this, even because we talked about communication. Mm-hmm. Even when a man will sit and say, "Hey, this is what I like, what I don't like. This is what I'm looking for." We will sometimes just ignore that because we want what we want, how we want it. And there is a level of impatience, especially the older you get, depending on where you are in your life, or what we see what our other girlfriends have, or what we see on TV. So if I had to pick, I would say that the woman has unrealistic expectations. We do expect the man to communicate as much as we do. You all don't. We are different, and I think a lot of us learn that through hard lessons learned. We still learning it, even though every guy typically is different. But in the core, you all are very simple. You all most times are very clear about what you want and what you don't want. And sometimes we just don't want to hear that, or we're not accepting of that. And then we bump our head up against the wall, and we have to accept what we didn't want to accept initially. So I agree with you, Kareem.
Well, there we go. We up, fellas. City boys are up.
We're getting a lot of comments. So I
want to be honest with herself. So
I want to go to Paula Jackson's comment. She said, yes, they do. They want us to be 130 pounds forever, always made up and in heels.
No. Well, let me say this. Listen, women by light years mature a lot faster than men, right? Age doesn't define maturity. Just because you get with a man who's in his 40s or his 50s, you have these expectations. But if you don't do the background check, you don't invest time into him to see what life cycles he's been through. That's not going to lead to him wanting someone in heels and 130 pounds forever. That's not it. It's really not. Men are very simple. They really are.
Yeah.
They really are. Now, the only thing is that brothers do need to do a better job of. I'm saying brothers, brothers for the sake of manhood. They need to do a better job of communicating things. What's okay, what's not okay. But they have this pressure that's on them. If your woman come out or she don't look good, she's fixing her hair. Hey, do you like it? In a man's mind, whether I compliment you or not, you're going to change it. You're going to say I'm lying. So I'm not going to say anything. Right. Or my emotion towards it is going to be just blah, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think a man necessarily, my woman used to be this or used to be that. I know that all that stuff is on the movies and stuff like that. But that may be some guys, but I don't think that it's the general class of men.
Yeah. So I want to talk about something that Willette says. So she said, doesn't it go both ways? Because you don't want to communicate doesn't mean that you shouldn't communicate. We don't read minds. So she's like, what do you do in that situation where, yes, if a woman communicates more than a man, well, what do? You can't read his mind. So then what?
Find ways to do it. Give an upper. You gotta
All right,
look.
so Siobhan, we talk. So what you mean find ways? So now we have to get creative in to try to pull you in. So I guess you know what? I guess that means you have to learn and study your man to determine what makes him tick. Is that what you're saying?
God, I'm going back to the men is simple, right? I'm gonna give you an example, and I'm pulling stuff from the air, right? Let's say your man is into football, right? And y'all go to a game. If he got a few beers in his system, the team is winning, that will be a perfect time to communicate with him. He will be
at the football game.
Yes. Or right after
making a touchdown. What do I mean?
No, you catch your man when he's willing to express his emotions. Men going to keep that locked up, man. They don't want to be talking about all of that stuff. That's why men like, oh baby, guess what happened to me at the office? And they'd be like, I don't want to express my emotions right now.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Interesting.
Seriously. Another thing.
Give us some more examples. We need them.
Okay, listen. Do not disturb a man when he's playing his video game. That's a reality for him. I don't care how old he is. A video game is an escape for reality for men. You may see it as it being immature. I get all that, right? But it's a real deal escape. And so don't disturb him during those times. But what do you see? Most of the time, women power the game off or threaten to throw it out and all that stuff. Oh my God. Take them out to a bar or something like that. Get them intoxicated.
I can do that.
Make a man feel good, right? It's just that type of thing. Men are just not going to communicate emotions at the drop of a dime like a lady will. It's just not going to happen. Some men will.
Let me tell you, the chat is going off. Y'all hear me?
Well, we only see certain chats.
You have lit a fire. So Willette says in the realm of communication, she's like, we like affirmation from our man. So we like for him to affirm us and to tell us, we look good or, whatever. So she's just kind of continuing on with the conversation.
Agree.
And then
listen. If you dating, okay. Now I'm gonna put this on the fellas, right, and on the ladies too. Queens, listen to me. If you're dating a man and he's not complimenting you, he's not opening doors for you. If he's not walking on the right side of the street and stuff like that, if he's not encouraging you and stuff like that, then you got to reassess that too. I'm not just but for the sake of sometimes women just get a man to have a man. I'm giving you the general, right? But I mean, at the same time, if you got your picks and chooses, Queen, I mean, you can't be out here with a man who's not willing to compliment you or you don't feel good when you with him. No, that's no.
Interesting.
Hey, it's all about accountability too.
It's just interesting because we've had some other dialogue, and when I said some stuff like that, you was like, Tracy, wow. So I'm just, I'm
because listen, there are tons.
We'll talk about that.
Listen, there's a thousand and upon thousands of good men out there, but they in their back cave because they don't want to deal with the whole reality of you can't be this perfect, or I know you lying, or I know you doing this, I know you doing that. So they just tuck themselves away. They rather not deal with it. Yeah,
I honestly do believe that, though. I do. I think unfortunately, what I have seen, this is only from my experience, so I can't speak for everybody, but sometimes the stuff that a man has to deal with from a woman, it can be kind of discouraging. Like, you know what? I'd rather just do my thing, be in my zone and do me, because sometimes it's a lot of energy, negative energy that a woman can put out that just make it complicating and just be like, you know what? I don't want to deal with that.
But that's exactly why you change the setting, change the atmosphere, if you will, when you're wanting to communicate with a man. Like, when he coming home from work or he on his game, when a man hits that video game, it's an escape for reality, right? When he go in the backyard and smoke a cigarette or grab a beer, that's his escape for reality. He literally don't want to talk to anybody or get on the phone with his boys and stuff like that. That's him refilling his gas tank, right? It won't take long. It don't take days and weeks, but if you really want to get that conversation out of the man to get a better understanding of what he want to do or what you need him to do, just affirmation in general. Take him in a setting that he can feel comfortable in.
Okay. Now, I will say, and I agree with what Murray says, there has to be balance with playing video games in the relationship, because some guys will go in that fantasy mode and they won't come out.
Wow.
And they expect the woman, which is unrealistic, for her to just be okay with it. This is what I do. I'm not out in the street, but you're not choosing to spend time with your partner. So I think that's when it becomes, unbalanced, and then it becomes an issue and an unrealistic expectation, because you want her to sit there and watch you play, and
no, I'm sorry to cut you off, but let me say this. There is a difference between boys and men. And a woman gonna have to listen. Women intuition is unlike any other thing in this world, right? They're gonna have to figure that out to some degree. If you got a man that's putting in 12 hours a day on a video game, then you might want to reassess your situation.
I agree.
Amen.
Just saying on that, I agree with his point about the balance.
Yeah.
Balance.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all are giving us a lot to talk about tonight, honey. So, let me ask you this question. What is the biggest misconception that men and women have about the opposite sex that contributes to developing the unrealistic expectation?
Well, we've touched on this. I think the biggest misconception is that we assume that men know what we want, how to do it, how to like it. I mean, men come from different backgrounds. A lot of men wasn't really raised in a home where they saw the visual of what a man is supposed to do and how they're supposed to raise a family, and how, so sometimes they're learning just like we are, and so we have to kind of keep an open mind and really understand what their background is, what they've gone through, and that's where communication, a level of maturity and understanding and evaluation, so you could adjust those expectations to that guy. He may be an amazing guy, but there may be some skill sets that he didn't learn because he didn't see it. And the same thing for women. And so I think it depending on who that guy is and how he treats you, we could temper back and recalibrate some of those expectations to give him a chance at trying to figure that out, wanting to learn and grow, especially if he's willing to do that.
Right.
Yeah, listen, there's not much to add there, right? I mean, Patrice, you nailed it, right? One thing I would say on behalf of men, I'm gonna be very transparent here, right? I didn't come from a broken home, but my dad was he was a hustler, right? He was a go-getter, so he was rarely there. So my mom kind of held it down, right? So she installed some things in me. That said, platforms like this, conversations like this is very important for men, Black men in general, because they seem to deal with the most issue when it comes to broken homes and not understanding how to lead a family, right? So there's no place for Black men to go to learn this stuff, or it's not out there. It's not necessarily visible, right? They go off of what they see, and what they see is broken homes. What they see is, it's going to be what it's going to be, right? They have no goals. They have no aspirations to, if I get a lady pregnant, I'm going to handle my business. If it don't work out, she's going to put me on child support. All that type of thinking, right, goes into a man's mind. And only when the man matures is when that kind of shifts, right? Which could be a rarity sometimes, because as I said previously, age doesn't define maturity. And so this is important for men to join these type of platforms so they can have a place to vent, communicate, absorb, and then pass down, if you will.
Yeah.
And if I could piggyback on him, Kareem, it's the same thing for women. Especially, if you didn't, like, one of the things I would say in my marriage that was confusing to me was the idea of respecting the man. What does that, I didn't know what that meant, what it looked like. I just remember saying, you should have respect for the man. And I'm like, well, how you respect the man? Like, what that look like? Spell it for me. Is it in the where is it? But I didn't really see that growing up per se. So there were a lot of things that I had to unlearn. Like, I'm independent. I could take care of myself. And, that attitude don't really fly well with men. That would cause a man to shut down. So I've had to retrain and unlearn and get a better perspective of how I need to flow, not only as a woman, but if I want to be with somebody, I got to flow a little bit differently. So it is hard when you don't see those visuals of exactly how you're supposed to cooperate or coexist in a relationship.
I totally agree. I think that sometimes, just to piggyback off what you're saying, I think sometimes that the missing element, it could be for men and women, but I'm going to lean on the women's side, is that women don't attempt to be friends first, or they want the friendship to go extremely fast, or not at all, right? After 3 days, what are we doing? That's a question that women ask men, right? 3 days, 3 weeks, what are we doing? Wait, I mean, can we be friends first? And then sometimes you get into these forced relationships, your expectations isn't met, and then the end game is very bad. I think this is an opportunity for everybody that's watching and listening. We really need to put an emphasis on focusing on friendship. Learn the person, right? I have friends that I've been friends with for 30 years, right? I trust them wholeheartedly. They could come in my house, I'll loan them my last, all that type of stuff. But just because you are a woman, whether you are 25 or 40, and you are seeking this way of life, regardless of what you're doing, you have to follow the steps, and the steps is friendship first. You can't eliminate the friendship part of it. If you look at all the love stories and all that stuff, watching one of those Tyler Perry movies.
I love the Hallmark Channel. It's my favorite.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. It was the Christmas thing and all that. So the Paula Patterson, right? I think Patterson. What's her name? She's beautiful, by the way. What's her name? Paula. Yeah. She was the airline stewardess, right?
Oh yeah, that movie.
So look at that movie. She's going to this guy and that guy and this guy. But it all came back to the guy who she was friends with for 20 plus years. You know what I mean? So she had all these expectations of these guys, and it all led to failures, right? But it all came back to the friendship part. So I think if you put an emphasis on the friendship piece, it can lead to better results.
I totally agree. And so Willette has some opposing views. So she said, put that convo friends.
I got questions.
And then she said, everybody wants something. So I guess she wants you to expound on what that means. Is it friends with benefits? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean when you say friends, that you need to develop friends, become friends?
Yeah, Kareem, because they were.
Oh, that's no problem. I got this.
Their whole life. So if you in your 40s and you want to be in a relationship, I mean, so we supposed to be friends for 10 years. I mean, what we doing?
Well,
I'm just asking. I mean,
yeah. So listen.
Before you start, I agree with you. There should be a level of friendship, because when I visualize my life partner, when I get married again, I envision being able to sit on the porch, laugh, and be able to communicate and have fun. And in order to do that, you have to have a level of friendship or a bond with that person. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not trying to be your friend for 4, 5 years or 6 or 7 for you to figure out that we should be together.
Touche.
Period.
I agree with that. So I agree. I totally agree. But I'm assuming that somewhere in that 4 or 5 year span, you communicated that, okay, there's some emotions that's developed. And
they developed in the first year.
Why?
I mean, Kareem, I mean, the first or second year, I need to know, do you like me? Do you think? But
what if I think that's still kind of? I think, what if it doesn't even start that way? What if you're coworkers and you're just?
Well, that's different.
But I'm just saying, maybe it doesn't always have to be. We're going into it saying, "Oh, I want to be together." Maybe it's just kind of organic, where you start time together and then the feelings develop over time. So,
but that's a whole different story in a scenario. So you're right. You may just stumble into the friendship, but I'm talking about the scenario where you meet a female or you meet a guy, and you're out somewhere, and you're now there is a mutual interest, and now you're trying to develop. Hey, am I interested in you? Is it realistic to think that we should be friends for a long period of time before we say, hey, you know what? I think I may want to pursue something with you. Just asking for the people.
Yeah, well, again, it's just about communicating and setting up that conversation,
Okay.
and seeing where it goes from there. But I think so. If we rewind, I think that as I think one of the guests said, well, not the guest, one of the commenters that said, well, friends with benefits, right? I heard that come up. Like, what do you mean friends with benefits? What is that exactly? You talking about sex?
She just said friends. I added the benefits part. She was like just clarifying.
But that's what when you say benefits, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So two things. One, men emotionally handle sex much differently than women. That's just facts. And in some cases, it's the opposite. But again, rewinding all the way back, men are kind of trained to do so. It's just their paradigm. That's just what it is. If you are hungry and you are, I don't eat fast food. I would never go to fast food and all that, but you are absolutely starving. You're just starving, right? And you got to get off the highway. You hadn't eaten anything all day. You're going to pull into the driveway of McDonald's and Taco Bell. You can't be mad at Taco Bell and McDonald's because they're right there. Listen, I'm not going to say weak. I'm not going to use that phrase with men or that term with men, but men, if it's good for them, they will be happy to oblige. That's it. And that's what you got to understand. Yeah. Like if you tell a man, you come home like, look, put on something. We're going to go get something to eat. I got it. Okay. Right. Or, hey, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this for you and all that. Okay. Right. So men are okay with things like that. But the whole friends with benefits thing, I come on, man. Well, I mean, women contribute to that too, though. But then it's used against men. It's used against men. Absolutely. Okay then. So
but I think what I'm hearing is we both have to be we men and women have to be responsible for ourselves. So if I'm a woman and I know that having sex with a man who is my friend will take it to another level, then I'm going to have to practice some self-control and some self-discipline and not go there because I already know. But sometimes, like you said, we'll get into it and then we blame y'all because you took advantage of us and all that kind of stuff. When you just like, look, what you want me to do?
Right.
I can compartmentalize and not still
agree. You do that.
As a man, you can do that. But for us, sometimes our emotions get all entangled. So I think as a man, as a woman, we both just have to be responsible and be honest with ourselves about what we can handle and what we can't.
And that's the thing, really being honest.
Yeah.
Really being honest and dealing with whatever the consequences, baby, that brings.
Right.
You really think that men doesn't get emotionally involved?
Yeah, I do. No, I'm not saying.
But Kareem, I feel that we are wired differently.
Yeah, we are.
We are wired differently. Like it's always emotional for us. It's always, if a woman is not tied emotionally to the act, more than likely she mentally has put you in a box or she's so hurt or been hurt so many times, she just want to get the physical and try to prevent herself from feeling. Because if she opens herself to be vulnerable to feel, then in her mind, she potentially is setting herself up to be hurt by another man.
That's the same thing for me, Patrice.
Okay.
Because Patrice is communicating, a man won't do that.
I'm not saying that you all won't do that. I just feel at the core, it's always emotional for us. I don't know if it's necessarily always emotional for a man. Is it?
It depends on the man.
So if you stop at McDonald's, is that emotional for you because you don't even like McDonald's?
If I'm hungry.
But is that emotional? You just hungry. You're not. You're not.
I'm feeling fulfilled.
Right, but you're not like, oh, oh Lord, let me go back to McDonald's. You don't even like McDonald's.
No, my example is that men can't go 2 days without sex and women can go 2 years without it. That y'all got to stop that. Stop that.
Yeah,
You got to stop it.
I don't think we can
You
generalize.
got to stop that.
People are different, so we can't put every man in the same box or same category.
I'm not doing that, Siobhan. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you got to stop that.
At the core, I believe that we were created, women. We are more emotional creatures. We're more emotional. I'm not saying that a man can't. I'm just saying if with your analogy, you only going to McDonald's because you're hungry. But 9 out of 10 times, you're not trying to go back to McDonald's, brother.
But that's exactly my point. But if I'm hungry, meaning that if you in a friendship and it just so happened to go down, it just go down.
All right.
That's just what it is. But in a woman's mind, and I'm just generalizing here, so ladies, I know you had sex 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago. This is like there's this perception of men that they're just these rabid dogs, or it's all over the place. Well, they're not sexing each other for one. Two, there's women that they're sexing with, and then lastly, I mean that's not the case.
If we like you, we don't want you with nobody else.
Time out. Let's rewind. So we had a comment going back to the commenter when she said that men want somebody in 130 pounds and high heels and all that. No, that's not the case all the time. It's just if we are these rabid dogs or we can have sex with anything and stuff like that, then that would diminish that comment. But that's not true.
Well, I'm gonna give you this bone. That is an unrealistic expectation when you enter a situation with friends with benefits. When you enter unrealistic, is that he not potentially out with somebody else. But the fact is, you wanted a number, so you got to deal with that, right?
But Patrice, stop that. Stop. You can't say that. You cannot say you wanted the numbers.
So this
you can't say that.
I'm sorry, Siobhan, go ahead.
So who you wait, time out.
Another conversation, Kareem. We only got we're not going to talk about this because this gonna go a whole nother.
All right, we'll talk about it offline.
It's a whole nother subject that we probably need to take time to unpack because it sounds like
let me get a swig really quick.
It sounds like it's a myth, that
because you said friend. So so a friend with benefit is just, I could assume that it's just only one person.
No. Time out. So you have to define benefits, ma'am. So you are just attaching benefits. No. You believe that a man can take a woman out to a nice dinner and not want to have sex afterwards. You believe that a man can't fly a woman, to a country, they go hang out and have fun and nothing don't happen. Well, there you go. That's the paradigm. That's what you communicate. That's your energy, and that's what men do. That's why men do it.
I'm calling for part 2 because clearly this conversation is not over.
All right.
So we will have to definitely continue this conversation on another episode.
Whatever, Kareem.
This is some good stuff. This is some good stuff, and I love it.
This happens offline, people. I just want y'all to know, like, this is real life.
I know it is. So anyway, with 7 minutes left. What are the last words that you want to say? And then after that, just tell people how they can find out more about you. Tell us about your books, Kareem. Tell us about your blog, Patrice. Just leave us with some last words.
Yeah, ladies first, of course. I'm always a gentleman.
All right. So this is some parting words that I would like to share or just challenge the thinking with women. One of the things that I have had to do, to help me with my unrealistic expectations, and we talked about this on the show 2 weeks ago, Siobhan, was to really become clear on what I wanted in a friend, a relationship, because I can't expect going with these expectations or looking for this compatibility and they're just not there. It is okay. If the guy could be nice, he's just not nice for me. And so what I have had, or what I've been training, or what I had to reshift my mind was, let me consider or pour my energy or go out with guys that have similar or things that are deal breakers are important to me. So that has really, really helped me with, of course I'm still single, but still as far as the friends that I've developed, or the guys that I do interact with and talk with, at the bare minimum, they have the things or the qualities that are most important to me. There are other things that, of course, we could build upon and work on, as we build our friendship. But that has really, really helped to minimize my unrealistic expectations. Like Siobhan, we talked about it's important for us to have a man with a vision, baby.
Yes, honey.
No vision, you can't lead yourself. You can't lead me. Kareem, I already know probably how you feel about that, but that's how I feel. So, ladies, I will encourage you to really, really do some self-reflection, some self-evaluation to see what is it that you really want, because they don't know, and it's unfair for you to enter. I know it's hard out here in these dating streets, baby, but it's really unfair.
It's hard, Patrice. It's hard. Oh my God! Like,
it's hard.
How many more minutes we got? It's hard, Patrice.
A guy that's nice, he may not be for you. So we have to practice some patience and really be honest with ourselves instead of encountering these situations with these guys, knowing that's not what you really want, and pressuring them, causing all kind of confusion. I'm not saying that it's all on us, but I think we have the ability to control some of the situations that we put ourselves in. So, so that would be my parting words. I am the Patrice. I am working on putting out a book, hopefully the end of this year or next year. Please connect with me. I am on IG at IMTHE Patrice, Patrice. I would love to hear from you, chat with you. Please connect with me on my page. Period.
All right, Kareem, what last words do you have for us?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't know if I appreciated her last words. I mean, I felt like it was a bash to get out of here quick. So I won't do that. The dating streets are tough. Like, come on, man.
Listen, ladies, Kareem.
Oh my God, Patrice. You high maintenance. You high maintenance, Patrice. All right. Okay. Last word. Listen. Oh my God. Listen. My advice is to everybody from a relationship perspective, communicate more effectively, find ways to do it. Literally find ways to do it. But be sure to verbalize them. I mean, seriously. And more importantly, for men and women, but maybe women a little bit, have patience. Lord, have patience. At the same time, understand just because you verbalize something doesn't mean that it's going to immediately activate or change somebody's behavior. That's why you have to rewind and have some level of patience. So I'm Kareem. You can find me on Instagram, King_Reem. I'm an author. I have 3 books out. Coin book. This is a very good book. This is more for the ladies, teaching men Jews and Rules, 42 Acts of Chivalry. I think men are lacking in maturity from that perspective. But this is an everybody book. Change your energy, change your life. Thoughts of retraining your way of thinking. It's really helped me specifically in a lot of success that I'm having. I don't mean monetary stuff. I mean just I'm happy all the time, man. I'm a very positive person. It takes a lot to get me down. And so my book, God, if you will, kind of explains some of those things. But if you're looking to follow a dope IG, me and my homeboys, we tend to do it big. I'm just joking, but we have a lot of fun, man. It's all about positivity. So that's me.
All right.
And you might want to spell that because it's not King, it's Kane. K-A.
It's Kane. Yeah, you know what? I have a piece of paper here, and I'm gonna do this really quick, Siobhan.
Gotta go. Bye, y'all.
We gotta go.
This
was so much fun. Thank you, Siobhan.
Thank you. There will be a part 2 because, as you can see, we cannot get all of this in one episode. So tune in next week. We'll be talking about disrespect versus respect. We'll have another.
Oh my goodness!
Talking about sharing a man's perspective. So we'll have some really good conversations. So tune in next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. We'll see you then. Good night.
Have a good